Negotiations were carried out until the last minute. It seemed there was no turning back before an economic disaster. However, all signs point to the fact that both Mexico and Canada have, at the last moment, avoided a trade war with the USA. Both countries have agreed to President Donald Trump's terms on strengthening border security. The two are also expected to formulate a plan to cooperate in the fight against illegal migration and drug smuggling. As recently as yesterday, it seemed that reaching an agreement between Washington and Ottawa would not be possible. Both Trump and Trudeau dug into their positions, ready to launch a series of economic attacks. Canadians even began to hide US-made goods in their stores, and major corporations were bracing for an impending disaster. At the last minute, however, there was a breakthrough and an unexpected agreement. The Canadian Prime Minister was the first to announce the deal. As analysts point out, it seems that both sides know very well how dire the consequences of a trade war would have been. Hence, both had to make concessions.
Trudeau, the Prime Minister for Canada, had a call with Donald Trump, two calls today, and they made progress on negotiating a deal where Canada would do more at the US-Canadian border.
The Canadian Prime Minister announced a massive mobilization of forces and resources, exactly what Washington has been asking for weeks. I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border.
That's all right, Gunny, we expected that.
The enactment of the tariffs has been delayed for at least 30 days, similar to Mexico, which had already reached an agreement with the Trump administration. There, the border is to be significantly reinforced by the military and border guards. He made several proposals and, in the end, we reached an agreement. That is, an agreement that was put in place to redirect more National Guardsmen to the northern border to protect the border and prevent drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl trade from Mexico to the United States. For the past 2 weeks, the U.S. administration has been conducting a massive deportation campaign of illegal migrants. Countries that have refused to take in deportees have caved in under the threat of economic sanctions. El Salvador, for example, even wants to take in non-Salvadorian migrants in exchange for American support. If we finalize this agreement, then Secretary Rubio will announce it. But if we do, there will be a much broader agreement that is unprecedented in the history of relations not only between the United States and El Salvador, but I think in all of Latin America. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni tried implementing a similar scheme in Europe. As part of the deal, 2 camps were built in Albania for illegal immigrants who reached Italian islands. They were to stay there while their asylum applications were being processed. The problem is that these actions were protested first by activists, then by Italian courts, which ordered the migrants to be returned to Italy. The only rights that this agreement violates is those of human traffickers, which were guaranteed in the past, but this government will certainly not guarantee them. Tightening asylum laws and deportations are also being talked about in the pre-election campaign by the German CDU party, presenting an opposition bill in the Bundestag. Unexpectedly, it was supported by the politically outcast AfD, which caused an uproar. The right decision does not become wrong just because the wrong people agree to it. It remains correct. That was enough for the CDU's rivals, headed by Chancellor Scholz, to accuse the CDU of collaborating with the controversial AfD, ending with some CDU MPs withdrawing their support for the project and its ultimate rejection.